Hello there. I just want to make a quick video. I won't keep it for long, or maybe a bit longer. I don't know. Basically on the topic of the Montauk chair, or what people call the Montauk Chronicles. Or it has other names, but this technology involving this MK Ultra CIA remote viewing program. It's a very interesting topic, and there's a lot of circumstantial evidence around my own life to prove that I was in it, at least for a while, and then my dad did something to get me out, maybe, I don't know. But there's many people all over the world who have reported being in the CIA remote viewing programs, the MK Ultra programs, all of it funneling back and spawning back from that sick and twisted Operation Paperclip, which unfortunately for me, my grandpa was a part of. So you got all these military families experimenting on their kids because they know no one's going to rat them out, because they're high level, they're higher level than the highest level cops in town. But anyway, that's not essentially what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about the Montauk chair, or what James Casbolt, who may be my cousin, calls trip seats. Now essentially it's the technology in the Matrix movies. It's also kind of hinted at in the movie Serenity, where they show this poor MK Ultra victim, River Tam, and they show her strapped to this trip seat, and it's basically talking about putting a mind into a quantum state. Not necessarily like the Matrix movies, which is jacking the mind into a computer program. But both technologies is something they've been working on since the 70s, or reinvigorating, let's just say. So anyway, whatever Hitler found in the Antarctic dumbs and in Tibet, it led him to all this, which came over in Operation Paperclip, and guys like my grandpa helped perpetuate. I remember even my dad trying to build a Tesla coil in 1972 when he was 17 years old. Forget about it. Obviously my grandpa had Q-level clearance. But anyway, I'll play a little clip from the Firefly showing how the trip seat works, at least showing you as a viewer using the externalization of the hierarchy, the way they like to drip feed stuff to us in movies and music and pop culture, blah, blah, blah. And then I'll get to the topic of the actual Matrix technology and the idea of jacking into a computer.
We're not telling people what to think. We're just trying to show them how.
She's dreaming. Off the charts. Scary monsters.
Let's amp it up, Delcy, and they drop. See, most of our best work is done when they're asleep. We can monitor and direct their subconscious, implant suggestions. It's a little startling to see at first, but the results are spectacular. Especially in this case. River Tam is our star pupil.
I've heard that.
She'll be ideal for defense deployment, even with the side effects.
Tell me about them.
Well, obviously, she's unstable. The neural stripping does tend to fragment their own reality matrix. Manifests as borderline
What use do we have for a psychic if she's insane?
She's not just a psychic. Given the right trigger, this girl is a living weapon.
Okay, yeah, that being said, I mean, it's pretty spooky, the idea of trauma-based mind control, because they're trying to create the ultimate super soldiers, sex slaves, psychics, remote viewers. Like, I mean, the astral plane is for sure real. I've astral projected. I know other people in my family have, not to mention the thousands upon thousands of testimonies of other people around the world throughout time. And so they're trying to create what used to be referred to as that perfect Manchurian candidate. And so there's side effects to it, obviously. Things like insomnia, not being able to remember people's names, problems, sometimes problems using public bathrooms, sometimes problems being in crowds, period. But like, even the idea of the Matrix chair, or that technology of jacking into a computer program.
This will feel a little weird.
This is the construct. It's our loading program. We can load anything from clothing to equipment, weapons, training simulations, anything we need.
Right now, we're inside a computer program?
Is it really so hard to believe? Your clothes are different, the plugs in your arms and head are gone. Your hair has changed. Your appearance now is what we call residual self-image. It is the mental projection of your digital self.
This isn't real.
What is real? How do you define real? If you're talking about what you can feel, what you can smell, what you can taste and see, then real is simply electrical signals interpreted by your brain.
I've said it before in my videos and I'll say it again. Obviously, I don't think the soul ever leaves the body. Even in astral projection, I think you're projecting a copy of your consciousness or your consciousness itself. But the soul is rooted in the body and is connected to the silver cord, which goes up to God's throne and down into Sheol. That's it. We all have the same kind of silver cord. Well, except Nephilim, I guess. But, and then each species of mammals and animals created in God's kingdom under God's plan have a psychic web, as it were, or a dream realm. There's all this, like, people want to talk about alternate dimensions in the media these days.
Hi, everybody. So quantum computing is a very technical subject, and I'm not going to talk a lot about the specific details, of which I'm glad, sure you're glad. But I'm going to try to give you an idea about what the kind of thing is that we build and why people are so excited about it. But I'm going to wrap that story in another story. But before I do that, I'm going to tell you a little bit about quantum computers and why people care so much about them. There are literally tens of thousands of some of the brightest people in the world today trying to build these machines and understand them. And I'm going to tell you why. In my last 15 years of working on this type of stuff, I found that scientists divide up into two categories of zealots about this field. The first half are people who are absolutely entranced by the physics of these things. This quote is from a respectable scientist, in fact, one of the founders of this field, that may look a little strange to you who don't follow theoretical physics, but there is a very clear prediction that our most successful theory of nature makes, and that is that there are an enormous number, mind-bogglingly large number, of parallel realities.
Like this hammerhead is saying there's parallel dimensions? Yeah, right. When has NASA ever told the truth? And yeah, I think that's insane. There's no possibility that there's parallel Earths, parallel dimensions. The parallel dimensions or any other dimensions that you think of are different frequencies. We're in the third dimension. So fourth dimensional, fifth dimensional beings would be in a higher frequency and we couldn't even perceive them. Now, like two-dimensional things we can draw on a piece of paper. But the idea of dimensions, it's not another parallel copy of this place. It's the realm around and the waters above, what the Bible even refers to as the second heaven, not to mention Tartarus below. But in the Matrix movies, they can jack into these computer programs. And again, like I said, I would wager that it's a consciousness, not the soul. But they can still trap people in these machines. And this is actually what the elite have been trying to do for years. They even want to be able to build virtual prisons so they could give criminals 1,000-year sentences if they want, like just to be extra cruel. But as far as this topic of the Montauk chair or this Matrix chair technology, that's one of the main things they've always wanted. Because if you've ever seen the show Stranger Things, they talk about that as well. Her being able to remote view. All she has to do is play the hiss of a radio and go into a trance. Okay, I mean, the first season was okay, but season 2 and season 3 was rubbish. But Stranger Things is another example of the Montauk Chronicles. It's about the Montauk Chronicles, except legally they weren't allowed to say the word Montauk Chronicles, and they only said the word MKUltra once in the library episode of season 1. But the Matrix chair, that's the ultimate goal, because if they can put or create this virtual world, what the Nag Hammadi text referred to as the Archon illusion, then people are contained. They're pod people. Like, it sounds silly. People look at that movie, The Matrix, and they think, no way. And it's like, yeah, that's the plan. Because then everybody thinks they're free, but they're not. And maybe not even necessarily the idea of downloading into a fake simulation, but the transhumanists definitely want to merge with machines. Guys like James Casbold, who I mentioned at the beginning of the video, in jail now, by the way, like they're pushing this transhumanism alien agenda nonsense, that we're supposed to team up with the aliens and take some CRISPR DNA, epigenetic upgrades, and just stop being human, I guess, and let's all go and be alien-human hybrids. Like, bullshit. No thank you. No thank you. And yeah, so this idea of the Matrix chair, I mean, I hate to break it to you, but this technology exists. And like that movie, the clip we just watched, Morpheus kind of said, what is real? Is reality what you can see, taste, touch, hear? Then it's nothing more than electrical impulses interpreted by your brain. Which takes me one step further in saying to my theory about how the sun and the moon are oppositely charged electric plasma circuits, creating the EM field that holds all matter together. So no, I don't obviously believe that this place is a hologram, but I do believe that the sun and the moon are creating the energy field that allows matter to be shaped like clay. It's God's battery. And we've fallen into this third dimension, this lower frequency version of it. Whoever Adam and Eve were, they made a deal with the devil and got us trapped here. And yeah, I'm speaking out against the Gnostic point of view, like Freemasons worshipping gnosis or knowledge, or the idea that you could become ascended masters, working your way into the fifth density, second heaven. No, I believe in Yahshua Jesus Christ and salvation on the cross. You can't work your way into heaven, and you shouldn't want to become an ascended master Nephilim in this fallen world, in this fallen state. But yeah, in some regards, you could look at this place as a hologram, although it's not a hologram. It's God's enclosed earth. It's electromagnetic clay. I don't know what else to call it. But I think, like, the Bible says the life is in the blood. So things without blood, like plants, would be more so a side effect of life, I guess. But in the natural world, it always plays out the same. The animals always do the same thing. There's never been any case of an animal producing another kind of animal. There's no proof for evolution other than microevolution. And definitely when you look at the metaphysics level or things like CERN is up to, they're definitely trying to punch holes in the veil. And that's what the real parallel dimensions are, is they're trying to break the veil, bust the veil. And when they use these Montauk chair matrix seats and they put these little kids in them like they did me in the CIA remote viewing program, why my grandpa lost his job with the RCMP running an entire detachment, he had to be the patsy. And they want to use these children because in an astral state projecting, they can try to puncture portals in the veil. They can also mess with people and do incredibly evil things which cause other things to happen. Not to mention just simply the concepts of what Donald Marshall talks about, where you're remote piloting clones while you're sleeping. So this technology is all about, I guess, manipulation, but really it's like, imagine the show Black Mirror too. They want people in that bubble, that twilight zone. So I guess that's all I got to say about that. But as I've said before, don't believe a word I say, research everything I say. But yes, this technology exists. And so I guess I just wanted to bring light on that. I know many of my repeat subscribers will already know my story and my videos about this. But, you know, I just felt the Holy Spirit call me to make this video after rewatching the movie Serenity and really relating to that River Tam character a little bit. But anyway, that's all I got to say about that. So peace out, baby.